Welcome to Sir. We can, seat you now?
Yum. Wow, these goat cheese balls are insane.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hello.
Would you like something to drink?
Well, you probably would. She knows where the bar is. She's sitting with me. She doesn't work here anymore. She's a customer. Are you two talking to each other?
No.
Why not?
Ask her.
I mean, I'm not really sure what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio.
What's all this?
I mean, I'm not really sure what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio.
Wait a second. Where have I heard that before?
She's Queen Bee, Proud Basic Bee, Dark Passenger, and the #1 girl in this group. This is everything you need to know about Stassi Schroeder before the premiere of House of Stassi on Hulu July 30th. Now this video is going to be a little longer than normal because instead of recapping a show, I'm attempting to recap a whole human's life. Just hang out with me. Go ahead and sit down. Let's hang out. Now, Stassi's lore is not neatly documented in a singular show or even a singular form of media. It spans over 3 different networks, multiple streaming sites, a few podcasts, social media, and not to mention chronicled in several published books. Lover or hater, you've most likely heard of her. And in the rare instance you haven't, it's a good time to clue in because this show is all about her. Her marriage, her family, her friends, her career, and as she says on the trailer, this time it's on her terms. All right, let's start from the top. If you thought Stassi's legendary run on reality TV started with Vanderpump Rules, think again. Her debut was actually on season 8 of Amazing Race back in 2005. No, I'm actually not kidding. She competed alongside her dad, stepmom, and little brother. They came in 7th place, which I thought was pretty good, but then I realized it was out of 10 teams total. For research purposes, I've gone back and watched this entire season. Let me tell you, worth every second. TV gold, as usual when Stassi's involved. Fast forward to 2010, she's the main character and rising star on Vanderpump Rules, Lisa Vanderpump's spinoff about the people working in her restaurant, Sir. If you're new to the Bravo world, you might know it from a little thing called Scandival. Okay, people might not like this take, but in my mind, there's no Scandival without Stassi Schroeder. There's no universe where the show even makes it to season 10 without her and her impact early on. She molded a dynamic that survived long after she left the show, and that dynamic was finding out your partner's cheating and humiliating them on national TV until they regret the day they were born. I've introduced a lot of people to this show over the years, and immediately, without fail, everyone has a negative reaction to Stassi. Not that shocking, since the first few episodes show her bossing her friends around, screaming at her boyfriend, disrespecting her boss, and terrorizing the new girl at Sir. I've heard mean girl, spoiled, bratty, obnoxious, bully, villain, and I can never argue because all of that is kinda true. But also, without fail, Stassi wins them over. And in many cases, she becomes their fave. As you know, every great villain needs some evil minions. So, meet Katie Maloney and Kristen Doty, her co-workers turned besties. Altogether, they're the witches of WeHo, partners in crime, and a group of young women who desperately need therapy. Kristen Doty can most accurately be described as a human tornado, whirling around Sir, wreaking havoc, and constantly finding herself in the middle of chaos. She has a remarkable talent for turning a small whispered rumor into a full-blown FBI investigation and raid. Although a self-proclaimed cheater-buster, Kristen herself gets busted for hooking up with Stassi's boyfriend behind her back. Stassi spends her time on VPR in an exhausting cycle of defending Kristen, then scolding her, cutting her off, then inevitably letting her back in. They're definitely not the best of friends in present day, but they're civil and cheer each other on from a distance. Also, Kristen Doute is currently tornadoing on another Bravo show, The Valley. So for better or for worse, she will not be whirling into House of Stassi. While Stassi's the unspoken leader and Kristen's the walking disaster, Katie Maloney's usually the quiet one, judging everyone from the sidelines, staying mostly unproblematic unless someone pushes her too far, or unless she's drinking tequila. She's fiercely loyal to her inner circle and notoriously unforgiving once you're out of it. Katie has a talent for holding grudges that last longer than most of the relationships on the show. In the press leading up to House of Stassi, we've actually been told that Katie and Stassi had a falling out years ago, unbeknownst to the fans, and only recently have rekindled their friendship in time for Katie to be a part of filming. Katie's my favorite, so I'm happy to see them on good terms and in each other's lives again. I suppose I'll also mention another co-worker of theirs, Christina Kelly. I've never been a fan because her pattern is swooping in for a scene, tearing someone down, usually a woman, then dipping out. We don't see her for the rest of the season. We don't know anything about her life. She's got nothing on the line, and she's never at the reunions to be held accountable. Listen, I understand not wanting to be a public figure on a show, but then don't participate at all. Maybe that's an unfair assessment, but I don't like that she's never around to take what she gives out. And I'm only bringing her up now because she will also be on House of Stassi. And it appears she'll be beefing with Katie. So there could be potential for a redemption arc, but it's not looking too good. Okay, on to another character I just love to hate. The biggest bullet Stassi ever dodged. Meet Jax Taylor. Where does one even begin? Narcissist, pathological liar, cheater, manipulator. Jax leaves a trail of mess and hurt wherever he goes. His repeated betrayals became one of the defining storylines of the series. Jax messes up, and Stassi's left to choose between ending it and protecting her peace, or staying tied to the friend group that keeps giving Jax second chances. I debated on even including Jax in this, because luckily he's not part of her life anymore, and even luckier, he won't be on House of Stassi. But if we're covering the complete lore of Stassi Schroeder, I just didn't feel like we could skip the chapter that arguably shaped her the most. You don't get the Stassi we know today without surviving the Jax Taylor era. And also through Stassi's toxic relationship, we get to know Stassi's parents, both extremely disapproving of Jax and at every opportunity encourage Stassi to dump him, even if he's sitting right there. Hilarious scenes, but also a fascinating peek into Stassi's family's dynamics. Both her mom and dad have been divorced and remarried several times. Stassi's mom, Dana, seems nutty and overly critical of Stassi. Maybe even a little jealous of her? I don't know. Stassi's dad, Mark, seems to be a little bit more stable, but comes off arrogant and preoccupied. More than once, Stassi mentions how the example they set for relationships has negatively affected her. Okay, now that we've met some OG characters, let me get back into our timeline. After 3 insane years on Vanderpump Rules, Stassi leaves her job at SUR without much notice, ghosts her friends, and runs off to NYC with her new lame-o boyfriend Patrick. We don't know much about this phase, except that she was treated pretty badly by Patrick and also discovered Xanax. Now, we all love the year 2016, and I think it was because that's the year chokers came back in style. But it's also the year Stassi returned to VPR for one of the best comebacks in Bravo history. She completes her apology tour, makes up with her friends, reminds her enemies who they're messing with, and ends up meeting her now husband, Beau, through a setup by Kristen Doute. Go figure. Meet Beau Clark. He's goofy, laid back, emotionally mature, and entirely uninterested in making a name for himself in reality TV. A breath of fresh air in this group. We see their sweet start, their growing pains, and eventually recognize that Stassi's met her match. Beau proposes to Stassi toward the end of season 8, in July of 2019. Fans were excited to see her get her fairy tale ending, and figured we'd be seeing that play out in the next season. But not even a year later, Stassi Schroeder would be fired from Bravo and removed from TV altogether.
STASSI Schroeder and Kristen Doty fired from Vanderpump Rules after past racist actions against Faith Stowers resurfaced. Faith recently shared that experience on Instagram Live, recalling how Stassi and Kristen falsely attempted to identify her as a woman police were looking for in a string of robberies. That Instagram Live led to a call for action from the network, ultimately leading to the dismissal of OG stars Stassi and Kristen from the show. Both Stassi and Kristen issued apologies to Faith on Sunday.
It was a turning point in society when we started holding public figures accountable for their behavior, their choices, and more specifically, their prejudices. I never thought Stassi was a bad person, before this incident or after, but I do believe she deserved to face the consequences of her actions. These days, if you're caught being racist, especially as a public figure, you'll most likely get backlash and at the very least, lose your job. It made sense why it happened, and I think Bravo made the right call. But it was disappointing to miss out on Stassi's next chapter. I especially felt that way when she announced she was pregnant with her first baby. After losing her job, her team, her endorsements, her fans, her reputation, all of it, Stassi found herself again in motherhood and being pregnant with her daughter, Hartford. We know this because 2 years later, she ended her hiatus by releasing a tell-all book about her experience being canceled, hitting rock bottom, and finding out she was pregnant in the midst of it all. The book was followed by Stassi and Beau's wedding in Italy, and soon after, the relaunch of her successful podcast. She was letting everyone back into her life, and the public was eating it up, myself included. Now, there are definitely people out there who haven't forgiven Stassi, or feel she doesn't deserve her platform, 2 years after her fall from grace, or now. I think those who don't support her have valid reasons to feel the way they do. My personal feelings on it, she was wrong. She paid the price, and then she did the work to rebuild her brand. Tune in or don't, the choice is yours, but I truly believe Stassi's grown into someone I have no problem rooting for. In the last few years, Stassi and Beau have had their second child, their son, Messer. She still has her successful podcast and started touring for live shows. I actually got to go to one and see her on stage and in person. Very cool. She's also hosting reunions for Hulu shows and even joined her old boss, LVP's new show, Vanderpump Villa. So now, instead of fighting with coworkers at SUR, we see her navigating the messy realities of family life. Whether it's feeling insecure about Beau's close relationship with his half-sister, Georgia, or struggling to set healthy boundaries with her own sister, Georgie, we see Stassi wrestling with the same emotions she's always had, but handling them in a much more mature way. The dark passenger still makes an appearance here and there, but much less scorched earth. And that's exactly what makes House of Stassi feel like the natural next chapter. The chaos hasn't disappeared, it's just evolved. Now, the story isn't about surviving your 20s in West Hollywood, it's about balancing marriage, motherhood, family, friendships, while still being herself. So, besides her, Beau, Stassi's sister Georgie, Katie Maloney, and Christina Kelly, House of Stassi will also include Taylor Strecker, who is Stassi's podcast co-host, and Taylor Strecker's wife called Teddy, plus Beau's bestie named Rob. Definitely recommend watching the trailer to see previews of all of them in action. So now you know, and you can see where things pick up and hopefully pop off during the House of Stassi series premiere, airing July 30th on Hulu. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the Stassi Schroeder fan club. This was Plot Points with Live for the Plot.